Hello and welcome once again. Thank you for joining me for day 2 of the Creative Recruiting Boot Camp. If you're on this early, you are watching the replay. It takes everybody a couple seconds or minutes to be able to find me online and join. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to join the replay. I really do appreciate it with all my heart. I know how busy we all are. So I do appreciate that you take the time to hear what I have to say and join me here on the replay. But let me know that you're here. Give me a hashtag replay. Let me know. I do get lonely on this side of the camera. And I also like to know that the work I'm putting out into the world is actually making a difference and that you're here. So say hello. Let me know you're here. I will read your comments. I can see it, and I do apologize if I keep looking down. You guys, my computer's down here, camera's up there. I got to figure out how to make this better so it doesn't look like I'm looking away from you guys all the time. Good morning, Jennifer. How are you? For me, it's morning. If you're on the East Coast, good afternoon. Today, we are going to be jumping right into it. Again, this week, we are talking about how to hire, right? And for those of you who are new, my name is Evelyn Knight. I'm not going to go into my entire introduction, but I am a center owner just like you guys. And so I get what you're going through. COVID has changed our industry, and that is why I decided to become a childcare business coach. When I saw the desperation out there in the world of how many owners and directors were terrified, I decided I have to do something. I have to help. My center was prepared and ready. So I did have that moment of terror in the beginning when we knew what would happen. I closed one Friday evening. We had 115 children in my program. The next Monday morning, we had 27. So I had that terrifying feeling. And I did call my financial advisors. They were like, what are we going to do? But they quickly calmed me down and said, Evelyn, you're prepared for this. You planned, you're prepared, you're going to be okay. So that's when I realized I needed to bring this to you guys. I needed to bring this to the world and teach other owners and directors out there, how do you be prepared? So when the next disaster hits, we're going to be okay. And it does take planning and preparation all the time, right? And there will always be another disaster. There's always disasters. The only difference with COVID is it happened to all of us all at once. And for those of you guys who have been following me for a while, and I'll only take a second to tell you, being prepared, knowing that your business is going to be okay. And this includes hiring. Knowing that you are fully staffed, knowing that you don't have to live at your center, knowing that it'll be okay without you is very near and dear to my heart. For those of you who are new, you may not know, my husband was terminally ill, and he actually passed away in July. And that really, him getting sick completely changed my life. It changed how I see the world. It changed everything. And I realized I couldn't live at my center anymore. I had to do something. I was his full-time nurse. So I had to find a better way. And that is my mission now, is to help you, other centers out there, 10,000 centers, because ultimately the work we do benefits the children, right? And had I not been ready, had I not prepared my center, we would have had to shut down. It wouldn't be there today. So thank God, we learn lessons in life. God has put me through a lot to teach me where I need to be. And now I realize in retrospect that he put me through that so that I could bring this information to you and that I can help a lot of other owners and directors out there avoid some of the pitfalls I've been through and prepare. God definitely prepared me for my husband's passing. I went through some things that made me realize years ago that I had to be ready. And by the time he got really sick to the point that he needed me as his full-time caregiver, I was ready. I was there. I was able to do it. When he passed, I was able to take 10 weeks off and just be with my children. And even now, it's only been 5 months, and I'm still able to just detach when I need to, be there for my boys, do what I need to do. So that's part of why I do what I do. I don't want anyone to ever be in a position I was in years ago, again, where you were so unprepared for disaster to hit. And staffing is key to that. If you are not recruiting the right people, if you're short-staffed, if your center cannot live without you, that is a huge red flag. It is a huge red flag. And we never know what life is going to send to us. I am not that old. Um, I'm not, I did not think 5 years ago that I would be a widow, right? I had no idea what life was going to throw at me. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's why it's so important to be prepared. That's why it's so important to have the right people on your team and by your side. So when life happens, you don't lose your center. You don't lose everything you worked so hard for. Things go on without you. The best leaders in the world can disappear for a while, and they've done such a good job of creating that team that everything will go on without them just fine. So that is why it is so important to me to bring this series to you guys about creative recruiting, because you need those team members, and they are out there. I guarantee it. I have found them. I live in a little rural Nevada town, and I've actually owned centers in a couple towns. I actually love owning centers in rural towns. Most people shy away from the rural areas because they're like, how am I ever going to staff it, right? But the people are out there. We just need to go find them. We don't need to wait for them to come to us. We need to go find them. So let me just see. Hello, good evening, greetings. Oh, wow, we have somebody from West Africa here. That is amazing. Afternoon. Good morning. I see everybody. So nice to see all of you. So I am going to dive in and just get right to it. Let's see. Today we're going to be standing out from the crowd. So again, we are continuing with our series here. Yesterday we were talking about the why, right? In order to really fully dive in and understand what is going on in our current climate, we need to understand why is this happening. So if you missed yesterday's session, make sure you watch just to help you understand. If we really can understand what's happening in the world right now, what's happening with the new hires we're getting, the people we're trying to attract, it's going to be easier to attract them and to adapt to them once we hire. And if you guys notice, throughout this whole week, I'm going to be integrating, not only attracting people to you and getting them in your door, but that's only half the battle, right? Half the battle is hiring. The other half is retaining. Once we get them, how do we train them and keep them? It's all great if you get them to your door, but if you have poor retention and they're leaving very quickly, that doesn't help any. And it makes it even harder and harder to recruit. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit on why that makes it harder for you to recruit. Let's see. Lisa, good morning. Colleen, good morning. So the workbook, there's one workbook, by the way, and you know what? I'm glad you brought up the workbook. I have mine up and running here. I actually use my workbook as a guide on what I'm teaching. That is basically, as I'm creating this workshop, I create the workbook, and that is what I use as a guide to teach you guys. So if you don't have the workbook, please leave it in the comments. You should have a concierge. If you don't have a concierge, we will set you up with one. Let us know in the comments that you do need to be working with somebody. Let them know that you don't have anybody contacted or that you haven't been contacted. Check your DMs. You might have actually been contacted by a concierge. Everybody who has registered for this training was set up with somebody from my team in order to make sure you get everything you need. So check your DMs. The DM requests, the direct messaging requests might be in there that you might need to accept from my team, but you should have gotten workbooks through direct messaging, or if you're watching through LinkedIn or YouTube, they should be in your email. So just check on that and see. If not, let us know in the comments that you have not been connected with anyone from our team, or that you do not have a workbook, and we can make sure that you're connected. We want to make sure that you have the best experience, get as much as you can out of this workshop. Again, this is a workshop I normally charge for. I am giving it out to the EC community for free this week because I see such a huge problem, and we need this. We really need it as a community. But next week, this is all coming down. Wednesday, we're removing everything. So this is your week to be able to watch it. So also the other thing too is we are going to have a question and answer session on Monday. So if you would submit your questions to your concierge, that would be wonderful. And I will be addressing questions live on Monday during my normal 9 a.m. Monday Mindset Monday. I'll actually be answering your questions. So any questions you guys have, submit them to your concierge, the team member that you're connected with, and I will be going through questions and answering them for you guys. And it doesn't have to just be about recruiting. I am a business coach, so whatever business questions you guys have, submit them. Whatever they are, I can get with my financial manager. I can get with, let's see, I got my financial manager. I have an HR specialist on my team. I have a mindset coach and a classroom management specialist all on our team. So let me know and can get to those questions. So today we're going to be talking about standing out from the crowd. Yesterday I was telling you guys a little bit about how right now there are so many employers that are looking for job employees. And yesterday I challenged you, as you're going out and about your day, notice how many help wanted signs you see or now hiring. And you can tell employers are getting desperate because there are signs everywhere, right? And they're different. Like I'm seeing sandwich boards. I went to Starbucks the other day and they had a sandwich board outside that said now hiring. So they had taken like where they normally put their drink of the day or whatever it is, and they actually had it outside saying now hiring, right? That shows a level of desperation on hiring. Interestingly enough, as I was doing this research for this series I was doing, I was actually asking different businesses and employers, like, are you guys struggling to hire? What's going on? What's happening? So if on the West Coast here, we have something called Dutch Bros. I don't know if you guys know who Dutch Bros is. If you love Dutch Bros like I do and are addicted, you got to let me know in the comments. It is my biggest addiction, Dutch Bros. And I am sorry, my dog just ran into the room, but no problem. Come here, Mira. I will let you guys meet my dog. So this is real life. It's live. Here she is. This is Mira, everybody. She is naughty. I'm sorry, she knocked off my microphone. But Mira is a very intelligent dog. She knows how to open doors. She's a little bit too smart for me. So let me get her settled so I can get her in. Okay, Mira, you're messing up my microphone. You're messing everything up. Can you guys tell she's an attention hound? Yes. You love Jennifer, you say you love her. Yes. I love her too, but right now she's irritating me a little bit. Let me move my mic to the other side. Is she? Let's see. Oh, yes, Lisa. Dutch. Yeah, I know. This is what happens when you're filming live, right? I can't edit it out. That's where I love the podcast. I can just edit this kind of stuff out. But when I'm live, I can't edit things out. So Mira's going to join us today. She knows how to use door handles. If I don't lock doors, she gets in. So that's okay. But anyway, what I was telling you guys about is basically Dutch Bros coffee, right? I love it. But I really love to study their business model. I actually even own stock in the company. I am just such a huge Dutch Bros fan, and I've studied their company. So the other day I was out getting my Dutch Bros, and I asked them, are you guys fully staffed? And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. I'm like, are you having a hard time hiring? Nope, we've got plenty of applications coming in all the time. People are always trying to get a job. So it really got me thinking about that. Like, why is that every Starbucks I go to has signs, now hiring, help wanted, and they are creative it's all over the place, right? But then Dutch Bros is not having a hard time hiring at all. They have a stack of applications coming in. And that's really got me thinking, if you look at their model and the culture within their company, right, you can see the culture. Every time you pull up to a Dutch Bros, and same thing with Starbucks, their brand and their culture is very apparent. But Dutch Bros has this very unique culture that when you're there, everybody is upbeat, happy. It's and they're authentic. It's not like they're putting on the show. They have this authentic excitement to them, right? And I realized people want to be a part of this company's culture. That is their big thing, is this company's culture is important to them. So that is basically part of why they're attracting people and they're not struggling. So that they stand out. I'll tell you, if you haven't been to a Dutch Bros, just go for the experience. If you're on the West Coast or if you're on the East Coast, just look. I mean, there's YouTube videos made about them that are kind of funny YouTube videos and everything. Just kind of Google it and you'll see what I mean by it's an experience, which is why I bought stock in the company. The minute it hit the stock market, I was like, I am investing in this company because not only is it a great product, but they create this entire experience. And ironically, you never even get out of your car, but they put you through this experience. And if you've ever seen a Dutch Bro, the lines are huge. They're huge. I am not a line person. I refuse to stand in lines. If I see a line, I will leave. I don't put up with lines. But when it comes to Dutch Bros, I will sit in line. I will sit in line for them. Even though lines are kind of entertaining. So it's that culture that they put out. It's not I'm a tea drinker. I don't drink coffee, but it's not the tea. It's not the coffee. It's the experience. So I really want you guys to think out, how do you stand out from the crowd like Dutch Bros does, right? Disney's another one. Disney's another huge one. My children, we used to have annual passes to Six Flags, and but we used to go to Disneyland a lot too. So one day my son said to me, Mom, one day in Disneyland is worth 30 trips to Six Flags. And that really got me, it really struck me. I thought, wow, just going to Disneyland once a year means more to him than our multiple monthly trips to Six Flags. And that's because of the culture, the experience, and the brand that Disney has created, right? That is something we can do too. Not only does that attract clients, but it also attracts employees. People want to be a part of it. I had a friend who actually relocated to work at Disneyland and ended up working there for years. And it's something you just fall in love with so much that you want to be a part of it. So that's where I want you guys to really think. And when you're thinking in terms of recruiting, right now we see the other competition, other centers, right? We're looking at other centers as our competition, but honestly, everybody is our competition when it comes to hiring. Everybody is. Everyone with a help wanted sign is your competition. So if you look in the workbook, I'm going to ask you a lot of things, and I will ask you like what is your competition doing, right? Don't just think about other centers. I want you to think about anybody who is hiring, because when it comes to the job market, we're competing with everybody, right? So that's what I really want you to keep in mind is, what does Starbucks do that attracts people? They pay very well, yes. But why are they struggling? And I want you to think about that. Starbucks is struggling to hire. They have excellent benefits and they pay very well, right? So it's not always about money. Dutch Bros is not struggling to hire at all. I'd have to do it. I think their pay is comparable, but I don't know what their benefit packages are like. So I'd have to look at that. But Starbucks is legendary for having good pay and good benefits, right? Yet they're struggling to hire over Dutch Bros, who isn't really known for that stuff. They're known for their culture and the experience that their employees have. So, and they retain. Like when I go to Dutch, the baristas are the same ones that have been there. They know when I pull up exactly what I want. I don't even have to go through. They're just like, oh, you're the London Fog, and they'll tell me exactly what I drink. So think about that for a second. The experience is really what they're selling, right? It's not so much the product. So I want, and Starbucks is the same. My husband was a big coffee drinker. He loved McDonald's coffee, would tell me all the time that their quality is pretty much the same as Starbucks. Yet Starbucks charges about 5 times the price for coffee. Why is that? It's the experience that you're paying for. It's not Starbucks coffee, right? It is the experience. So that is what's going on. And why is it that if you tell someone you work for McDonald's versus Starbucks, there's also that elitism, right? It gives you a different feeling. but they pay the same. Their wages are right in line, right around the same, at least here in my area. The wages are the same. But somebody would much rather work for Starbucks than for McDonald's. So that's where we have to stop obsessing about how much we can pay. We create this problem as an industry. We have it so stuck in our heads that we cannot recruit quality people because we can't afford to pay enough, that we have created this unprofessional atmosphere, to be honest. If I'm going to be completely honest, we have created this. We've done it to ourselves. But we're at a crossroads now where we can change. One of the things that people have a really hard time with is change, right? So we continue to do things the way we've done it our entire life. We continue to just follow what everybody else has done before us. We just stick with the industry standards. And when life comes out at us and it's time to pivot and change, we don't know what to do. We freeze. We just try to keep doing it the same way. And then we wonder why we're out of business. Look at Blockbuster. Blockbuster was a huge company that rented DVDs and videos. I think they're still actually around, but most of us don't know, right? What did they get? Netflix came along. And what did Netflix do to Blockbuster? It decimated Blockbuster, right? So why is that? Did they adapt? Did they pivot when it was time to pivot? And did they change with the times? That is what we're facing now. And we've got to change with the times. We have no choice, whether we like it or not. So what I want you to really think about is, how are you going to stand out from the crowd, right? And there's several different things that we're going to be thinking about, including how are you attracting new employees? What image do you want to give your new employees? What kind of employees do you want, right? So I want you guys to really think, and let me see. I'm sorry, I'm losing, my dog is actually really messing up my train of thought here. So I want you to think of, what is your center's superpower? What makes you different from any other childcare center? Let's actually go even broader than that. What is our industry's superpower as childcare providers? What is our strength? What makes us different? And what is it that we can put out into the world to help them understand why they need to work for us for $4 an hour less than going to Starbucks? Why is that, right? And it's really simple, you guys. We change lives. We in ECE have the power to change the world. I really want you to sit and think about that for a second. You in your center have the power to change the world. 90% of the human brain is formed in the first 5 years of life. We are literally helping to form 90% of the future's brains. In 40 years, the children that are in your care right now are actually going to be calling the shots in our communities, in our nation, in our world, right? I have a worldwide audience, and I'll tell you, so each one of you are shaping the future of the world. We don't know who we have in our programs right now, right? We don't know the people sitting in our classrooms today. The people who are out there running our nation today were once preschoolers. They may not have attended a preschool program, but they were once 3 and 4-year-olds, right? The executive brain functionings that dictate how you cope, how you problem solve, how you manage your time, how you create relationships, those are all formed in the first 5 years of life. Those are formed. We can't change it beyond age 6. We can learn to adapt, but what is innately in us at that point in our lives cannot change. That is who we are, right? So the job we have is huge. We are literally shaping the future of the world. Who doesn't want to be a part of that, right? I mean, there are some people that responsibility is so great that it might scare them. But you can attract the people that when they understand, like, wow, I'm going to have that much impact, just by working at a childcare center, I can literally influence the course of my city because these children are one day going to be running my city. If I help them to understand really good problem solving, right? How to really use their brain to problem solve. If I have a really good curriculum in line that helps them learn how to manage their time better, all of that, all of the things. There are 7 different brain executive functioning. And ironically, when you're looking at job candidates, all the things that you're hoping for in this new hire, how responsible they are, how they get along with others, that's all formed in the first 5 years of life. The impact we have on the world is huge. Helping people to see that and understand that makes us stand out. So instead of posting a job opening that says something like, oh, what do we see all the time? Little Blessings Preschool is now hiring. We are looking for a full-time infant teacher, hours available 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, right? How many of you guys, let me know in the chat, what does that sound like a typical job posting that you would put out into the world? How about instead saying something like, do you want to have a real impact on the world? Would you like to be involved in changing lives? Apply, email me at to let, and you can even describe it. Say, this is Little Blessings Child Care Center. We are helping to develop 90% of the human brain by caring, nurturing, and educating children from this age to this age. If you would like to make a real difference in the world, email me at, right? And now, how many people's attention are you going to suddenly get? That's a lot different than preschool teacher. That's it, right? So that is our strength. We have this huge ability to attract people when they really understand the work they do. One of the things I think we need to face up to as an industry is right now the image of daycare in the world is very bad. If you do a Google search, the news and media surrounding daycare right now is extremely negative. You very, very, very rarely see anything positive in today's world. I've noticed when I was doing research for this, one of the big things I've noticed that's happening to us right now is there is a huge amount of unlicensed providers throughout our, especially in the United States right now. There's a huge, huge amount of unlicensed providers, and children are getting seriously hurt in these programs. The problem is that the media is putting the news out there as child in daycare, child in daycare. And if you read the article, the headlines say like daycare child, oh my gosh, I read one last week. It was horrible. This child rolled off a changing table, fell into a mop bucket and drowned, right? It was actually an unlicensed center, or it was an unlicensed home provider who had like 12 children. I mean, they shouldn't have had children. But the headline said, baby at daycare drowns in mop bucket. How many people are not going to read the article, or they're just going to skim through it and never even see that this was an unlicensed provider, right? The other thing that's all over the media is the fact that our industry is actually going bankrupt. That's the other thing that we see all the time. We can't hire. We're going bankrupt. Nobody wants to work for childcare because of poor wages. That's all we're seeing. So let me challenge you to ask yourself, if you were seeking a job and you're scrolling through Monster and Indeed and you're looking for a job, would you go work for a daycare right now? If you knew nothing about our industry, take yourself out of childcare, right? Even as a teacher, would you want to work in daycare right now? Right now, daycare has such a bad name that most people don't want to be a part of it. So it's up to us to change that narrative, which is why we also need to advocate, but that's a whole other subject I'll talk about later. So we need to change that entire message that is being out into the world, and we need to educate the public. So when you're posting for jobs, when you're putting, and not just jobs, this needs to be something we're doing every single day within your communities. Post on your social media pages that are within your town. Educate those around you to know that, first of all, we're not daycare, we're childcare programs or preschool, right? If you're a high quality program, I do not allow my staff or my parents to call my center a daycare. I have put very many years into my program. I am not a daycare. I've worked too hard to be a daycare. We don't just babysit. We are a very high quality environment that nurtures and educates children, with the nurturing being the most important part. So, but I also work hard on educating my community to understand and know that, which is why I have such a big wait list, which is why people want to work for me. They understand that what we're doing. I go and talk to our Chamber of Commerce. I will go and talk to Rotary clubs, even in my neighboring town. There's a lot that I do in order to make sure that people have a really good grasp that I'm not a daycare. I am a preschool that provides childcare. So really educating people on what our strengths are, and then point out your superpower. My center is the only center that has achieved our star quality rating for the Nevada Silver State Stars. We're also almost completed an AC accreditation, which will actually give us our 5th star for Silver State Stars. We're currently a 4th star. Once we achieve that accreditation, we'll be awarded the 5th star. We actually qualified, but you have to be accredited to get that 5th star. We're the only center within 3 neighboring counties that has anyone that's over a 3-star, right? So it's something we make sure that we really educate the public on, and make sure that the public understands we're not a daycare. We are a very high quality program, and we help them to see what we do, right? And that is very important. You have to know your strengths and know your weaknesses. And right now, our industry is being portrayed in such a negative light that is a huge weakness, right? If your center isn't striving towards quality, that is something I would really challenge you on. I was once upon a time an owner who didn't think I could afford quality. I thought it was out of reach for me. I did not prioritize group sizes, ratios. I was so scared of how much it would cost to become a 5-star quality program that I didn't do it. And that is when I was really struggling. I struggled to hire back then. I struggled to retain the children. And when I hired a business coach, I actually had 2 coaches. I had a business coach and a classroom management coach. And I knew what quality looked like. I was just really scared of it. I just thought it would bankrupt me. Well, it was quite the opposite. When I basically decided one day, okay, enough is enough. The children need to come first now. I can't be scared of the money anymore. I need to make sure I am the highest research-based quality program there is. I just need to achieve this for the children, right? As soon as I made that shift, everything changed for me. Everything changed. It actually produces my income. And I'm sorry, you guys, if you can hear, my other dog now is scratching because she's in here. See what you did? Now you've got your sisters trying to get in because you're here. I know. She's a brat. What can I say? This is my brat, my co-host here, and she's getting I have a puppy that now is crying at the door to get in because she's here and she wants her sister. They're not really sisters. That's a pug. Poodles and, her adopted sister. So anyway, knowing our strengths and our weaknesses, but you also have to know your personal weaknesses. One of the weaknesses that we do have is we pay low wages, right? We can't afford better wages at this point. But we can't allow that to become our driving force. We can't allow the wages that we pay to become what really dictates how we are, because there are other ways, and we need to remember that is not the most important thing to people. So look at your strengths and the opportunities we do have, right? What else do we have to offer to employees? Can you discount childcare, right? When you're recruiting people, and I'm going to get really in depth tomorrow in recruiting, so I'm not going to talk to it so much. But when you're looking at recruiting, what can you offer them? Can you offer them discounted childcare? As a business coach, I'm going to really caution you here. I once made the big mistake of being so desperate to hire that I was giving free childcare. I had 17 staff children that I was giving free childcare to. So realistically, what can you do? Can you discount it by 50%? I would never, ever suggest giving an infant away for free. They're just too expensive for us. But as a business coach, that's something we can work on. If that's something you'd like to work on, is what can you afford to do for your staff? What other type of benefits can you give them that don't cost us money? There are things like any EYC memberships can give them discounts to a lot of different places. It can get them discounted insurance, travel discounts, a lot of different things. So buy an annual membership for your staff to give them other perks that we really can't afford. There's a lot of things that we can do, but again, we can't stick to the same old way of thinking. We have to break free and have other ways to think. So know the opportunities that are out there that you can provide, right? But really start thinking outside of the box. Think of our strength or your personal strength as a motivating factor to attract people. How can you really motivate and attract based on your strengths? So as you're going through the workbook, what does I have some questions that I'm used to guide you. Like, what does your center do well? Every center is different, right? My center really provides nurturing. We also even have a therapy room, and we actually have a therapist that comes in. It's a behavior specialist who comes in and helps children. So we attract pretty tough kids, but my center is the center that you guys would refer to if you have a child with challenging behaviors that you don't know how to deal with. We know how to deal with it, and we help the children. So that is something, and we attract all children. So that's something we're really passionate about. So what do you do that's different? What sets you across? Maybe you go to age 12. Most centers don't like to take children over age 8 any longer, right? Maybe you do infants. A lot of centers don't do little babies anymore. So know what is your strength, but look deeper. I would say look deeper than just ages, right? Like, do you have really great group sizes and ratios? And I'm going to really encourage you, just the part of me that is passionate about doing what's best for the children, just please make sure that your strength is something that is developmentally appropriate and right for the children. If you're sitting children at desks or tables and giving them worksheets and teaching them how to read by 3, that is not a strength. They are not ready for that. That's actually a parent. Yeah, it's great for parent selling, but it's not good for the children. So in the long run, it's not going to serve you. If you're doing things like giving the children iPads to do ABC Mouse on, that's not what's best for the children. So those kind of things look good on the surface, but in the long run, they can cause much bigger problems, behavior issues, a lot of different things, which would take a huge conversation for me to explain why. But it's not going to really, at first it's going to work, but long term, it's not going to get you employees to fill your center because it's not quality and it's not what's best for the children. So true quality is going to really focus on what is best for the children. So know your threats. That is a big threat, right? Are you a developmentally appropriate, high quality center? If you're not, that is a huge threat to your success. If your classrooms are pretty chaotic and they are filled with behavior issues, then you're not high quality. I'll tell you that. I mean, right now, as you gain in quality, it does really make those behavior issues subside, right? It's a beautiful thing when you go to a center that is high quality. And I would really encourage you to tour some centers that have very good reputations. University centers are awesome. Then you can see what it looks like and how much more calm children are in these centers. One day I am going to film a tour of my centers so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard. I just toured a bunch of owners in October, and I think it was pretty eye-opening for me, actually, touring, just to see, like, hearing the perspectives, like, oh my gosh, I wish we did this, and this. Like, well, every one of you can do this. And it really does make your teachers' lives easier. It's going to help you to retain them and attract more. So knowing your threats, that's probably the biggest threat, is not having a high quality program, because your reputation around your community is going to scare people away. So if you look in your classrooms and you see really stressed out teachers, I want to challenge you to ask yourself, would you want to work in your classrooms? Would you want to be a teacher in your classrooms? And if not, how do you expect to attract more employees, right? You need to become the program that you would want to work for, that you would want to be a teacher in, right? So just keep that in mind. Let's see. I'm sorry, my dog has got me so she's definitely broken my concentration today. So do you guys have any questions for me today? You can put them in the chat. Let me move over to the chat to see if you guys have any questions or any comments you would like to go over from today's session. So basically, for the homework, while you guys are typing out the questions, I know it takes a minute. I want you to think about how are you going to stand out from the crowd, right? How do we as an industry impact and how we can stand out from the crowd? What do you personally do well that other centers? I wish I could turn the camera so you can see. She just opened the door. So my puppy might be in here in a second because, yeah, my poodle just opened the door to let her sister in. So, yeah, here she comes. So, yeah, next time I have to lock the door, don't I? But I'll let everybody meet my puppy. She's not so much a puppy anymore, but she is the cutest little thing. So anyway, what do you guys, I'm sorry, there goes my mic again. Okay, girls, you guys have, well, I don't know. I guess I get the cuteness award for the day though, right? My dogs might have totally disrupted me, but I do get the cuteness award for this one here. So this is my Minnie Mouse, Minnie. And she is a year old. She is my sweet baby. My husband actually bought her for me about less than a year before he passed. And I think that was just kind of my feel better about how life is going right now, present from him. So I swore I wouldn't get another pug. I have another pug also, but she'll leave me alone. She's an older one, so she's pretty calm and pretty good. But anyway, back on track with recruiting. So basically, I really wanted to challenge you guys to really think about what makes you stand out from the crowd. What makes you different? Let's see. Our yes is we can welcome and embrace children with mild special needs and learning difficulties using the Montessori. Oh my gosh, I love it. So Elizabeth, I really want to address what you're saying here because you talk about using the Montessori method really sets you apart. If you're really like Montessori programs are very beautiful quality programs that, and Elizabeth, you can probably absolutely attest to what I'm saying, that children with these mild special needs, put them in another program and suddenly they're going to be a behavior problem, right? But with that Montessori model, because of how it's structured and how it meets the children where they are, it eliminates a lot of behavior issues, right? It automatically does. So I absolutely agree with you. Your superpower is that Montessori method, right? But what I would challenge you to is if you post something out there and just say we use the Montessori method, parents don't know what that means. So instead of saying like we use the Montessori method, describe it, right? So when you're posting for job openings or even enrollment, you want to describe it. What does that look like? What does it feel like? What does it accomplish, right? So that's how I want you to post your job openings. Because a lot of people don't know. I'm sure a lot of you, even watching this video, don't know what the Montessori method looks like. So that's where I would really encourage you, if you do high scope, any of those, if you're Raggio, those really high quality models, describe them because people do not know. We use emergent curriculum because I like to bring in, I do a little bit of everything. I call emergent the Americanized Raggio, but it's basically, it does bring elements of Montessori, it brings elements of high scope, it brings elements of Raggio, just a little bit, it's closer to Raggio, but it brings elements of everything in, right? And we've developed our own program, which is why it's emergent, because emergent's kind of like, you can develop it yourselves. So just think about that and describing it because people aren't always going to understand. So, because I know that it's a beautiful method, and watching a real Montessori school in action is a beautiful thing. I just love watching it. I don't know, I nerd out on early childhood education, so I love just sitting back and watching. When a child care center has their methods down packed, it's amazing. It's just beautiful. What the outcomes for the children are just beautiful. So that is just, yeah, break it down. Well noted. Will do. Very helpful and useful. No problem, Elizabeth. And then Michelle, let's see. I'm about to start advertising on the radio. Nice. For the first time. I would like to educate families on what high quality. Yes, absolutely. So Michelle, what you're going to need to do in your advertisement, and this is going to take some, so use the workbook. I've structured it so you can I'm trying to pull this out of you guys, and we're going to talk more about this tomorrow, right? And by the time we're done with this series, you guys should be able to create an ad that looks like nothing you've ever seen and is really going to be able to describe your center's superpower, right? So Michelle, that's, again, I'm going to challenge you to do the same thing. You're going to have about 60 seconds to educate the public on what is high quality, right? So what you're going to want to do is basically write down everything. Okay, write down all of it. Why are you a high quality program? What makes you stand apart? And then as you write it all down, start eliminating things. Okay, first you're going to start eliminating sentences, right? That you can take out that may not, you'll see there's going to be a lot of fluff when we all write in the beginning. There's a lot of fluff. My first college major was actually technical writing. So I learned how to do this early on. But then you're going to go through and just like get to the bare bones and think in terms of somebody who has never experienced childcare. They know nothing. Okay, absolutely nothing. They don't know that we are CPR certified. That's who you're talking to. So you're going to take out all the fluff, all the jargon, all the things that really parents and people who have no experience don't care about. Then you're going to go through and start eliminating words, any kind of adjectives, adverbs, any unnecessary words. What's going to end up happening is you'll take this paragraph and you will be able to come up with a 60-second spiel that is just the facts. That's it. Quick, to the point, no fluff, and easy to understand. So it is, and Michelle, if you need help with that, let me know. You're one of my clients, so we can work together on that. You can email it to me, and we can work back and forth to get down to the bare bones of this. I actually have some I can send you to give you an example of what I use for my parent orientation and our tour. It's one of the things we do on our tour. I basically know I give myself a little bit more time, but we've basically educated parents on what does quality ECE look like in 15 minutes. So we can start there and break it down to 60 seconds. So does anybody else have anything they want to add that we can go over really quick? And also, you guys submit your questions, anything like this. I know what's going to end up happening is after you watch the video, you're going to be thinking like, oh, what if maybe this, so send your questions to your concierge. I will be spending an entire session just question and answer. So submit those questions if you can't think of anything right now. And just know too, make sure you guys tune in on Monday, because even if you don't have a specific question, you don't always know what questions you have. And when somebody else comes up with the questions, it might really open your eyes to, oh, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. Yes. Yeah, Michelle. So send me, just type something up, send it over to me, and we'll go through. We can just do that over email, and we can come up with the key points you want in your radio commercial. That's the biggest thing, is you just really want to attract attention and come up with very specific key points that are going to get people thinking like, oh, wow, that is. I'll give you guys a quick tip before we log off. One of the things I tell parents, my quick 30-second way to educate parents on how to look for quality, I tell them there's two things when you're touring childcare centers, two things to look for. Where is the art placed in the room? If the art is placed like, I would say 5 feet and lower, and that's where you see the decor in a classroom, that's a high quality program. If it's up high on the wall, that is not a high quality program. Because if it's lower, they're actually decorating for the children. A child's eye level is down here. It's not up here, right? Where adults' eye level is. If it's also on the walls, they're not afraid that the children are going to tear it off the walls, which means they don't have so many behavior issues. And that means they know how to run a good classroom, right? The other thing I say is look at where is the furniture placed. A classroom to an adult should look pretty cluttered and chaotic. The classroom should have furniture. It should look like an obstacle course. There should be several rooms inside a big room. If the furniture is pushed against the walls, it's not a high quality program. They don't know how to arrange a classroom. If it's out and kind of everywhere, I could teach you guys an hour-long session on, I could teach you probably a 2-hour-long session on why that is. So I'm not going to go into detail, but I tell parents all the time, if they ask me why, I'll give them a quick synopsis like, well, it stops runways, you won't have running issues, it creates micro rooms within the room so that you only have 3 to 4 children in each center, so you could have 30 children in a room, but if there's only 3 to 4 playing in each center, you're not going to have overcrowding, you're not going to have fighting, it just naturally, the classroom becomes a second teacher, basically. So that's all. Those are the 2 tips I give parents when looking for high quality. And I'm actually going to be guesting on a really popular podcast to educate parents on how to look for high quality. And those are the big things I'm going to tell them. Just look, where's the artwork and how is the room arranged? That's it. It's a 10-second look around the room to know if it's high quality or not. So it's little things like that you're going to say, even in your advertising, right? And that's not what you're going to say to attract an employee, but it's an example of how you can very quickly get people's wheels turning. Very quickly get them to say, oh my gosh, you're right. And suddenly they're like, I think I might want to work for you because you really know, and just even knowing your stuff that in detail makes people more confident to work for you. So let's see. If there's that is great information to have. I know. Yes, Lisa, it is. Yeah. It's so simple, right? Just knowing where artwork is placed. But honestly, if you guys think about it, if you're placing artwork up high, it's because you are looking at it. You're not thinking about what the children are looking at. You're thinking about what an adult is looking at, right? Second thing is, if it's not down below, teachers and staff are probably scared the kids are going to tear it off. And if you're afraid the kids are going to tear it off, then you haven't come up with solutions on how to deal with that. And your children are not engaged in the classroom. So they're more engaged in what's coming off the wall instead of what's going on in the classroom. So it tells me a lot right there and then. So I hope this information was very useful to you guys. I do apologize for my dogs today and about getting that. I will make sure that the door is locked next time and they cannot get in. My dog is too smart for me. What can I say? But I hope you enjoyed seeing them. They're beautiful. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your day, and make sure you join me tomorrow for our next session where we are going to really dive into your values and your culture and how to attract the person, like that specific person you want. We're going to get very detailed on the person we want to attract and how I'm going to teach you guys how to stop hiring, start recruiting, and going after the people you want instead of waiting for them to come to you. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.